Hello, everyone, and welcome to the VeryReasonablePilots podcast. I'm your host, Charles Long, and with me, as always, my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, gunner, navigator, orator, and podcasting associate, Jacob Gloth. How you doing today, Jacob?
I am swell, Charles. Excited another episode of the podcast. We pitch new TV shows every single week. New storylines, new characters, new plot lines, season arcs. Sometimes we throw you with a little bit of fantasy, sometimes science fiction. Sometimes it's a good old classic drama or a detective noir show. But this week, Charlie, you got something
it's one of those
new for us that I'm excited to hear about because I picked the title and I quite like this title.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I wrote it last night in a stupor, in a haze. So we'll both find out what I wrote together.
Yeah.
I also just want to say I think that may have been the cleanest opening I've ever done.
You kind of ruined it.
And I'm very happy.
You kind of just ruined it,
yeah. No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't. I want everyone to rewind like a minute and go back and listen to the opening again, just to accept the cleanliness of that opening.
You don't, like, the guy that just hit the home run, you know, the baseball player that just hit the home run, he doesn't immediately go up to the news camera and say, hey, guys, that was, like, a really good home run, by the way. Like, I just want you to know that was really good. Just wanna...
Yeah, that's because I'm not a baseball player.
Oh, okay. That's
if
fine.
I were a baseball player, I would do that. I would hit the home run, and I'd be like, I'd sidle up, like, kind of, like, next to one of the people, like, cameramen. I'd be like, hey, I don't know if you were paying attention, but, kind of just hit a really good home run.
You just Timothy Chalamet us. I don't know if you've seen his... He had a quote recently where he was like, I've been putting on, like, top-level acting performances, like, the last couple of years. Like,
yeah, I did see
You don't need
that.
to say that. You ruin it when you say that. You make yourself look like a douche, and that's what you just did. You Chalamet us.
Awesome. Great. Verb to Chalamet, to make yourself look like a douchebag by bragging about how good you are at something. Even if you're very good at it.
Well, no, especially because you did it well. If that's the... You have to have done it well, and then you unnecessarily brag about it.
Yeah.
That's what you did.
Was he... I mean, hey, I agree, too. Wonka was a top-level acting performance.
Yeah, that's a good point. Man, I hope Marty Supreme bombs because he said that.
Yeah. God, I hope. Somebody needs to put that little shithead in his place. I hope he is that drill rapper. Did you see that? People online think he's a UK drill rapper that wears a mask.
I have not seen that. I'd be surprised if he has the time for that, but...
Me too. And if he has the ability to do that accent and hasn't done it in a movie yet. But there is a drill rapper who, like, he's always wearing a mask and, like, a balaclava and gloves and stuff, so people don't know what he looks like. But he, like, there's a theory that it's Timothy Chalamet because, like, some of his music videos line up with when he was in the country and stuff like that. I don't know, it seems kind of dumb to me, but very funny. Supraliminal. That's the show. One word, Supraliminal. It's gonna be a show about things and about ideas. It's a little memento.
Is Timothy Chalamet
no, I didn't cast anyone, but I don't think he would do very well in this universe.
By the end of this pitch, we have to cast Chalamet into a role in this show.
Hey, there are a lot of skinny little weirdos in this show idea, so he could probably play one of them perfectly well.
There we go.
Yeah. Our main character is a gentleman by the name of Percy Harp. He wakes up in a field of other people all hooked into ceiling-mounted VR machines.
Okay.
Right? So, opening shot of the show, this, like, mask lifts off of the camera. It's just blackness. It lifts up, and we see from a POV thousands, millions of other people. And they're all completely naked except for, like, little loincloths. And they've got these massive machines attached to their heads with wires attached to a lamppost that can move, right? And these people have their own little exercise area where they're moving, and we can see them, like, moving and talking and all this stuff, right? And their actions are that of normal people, but they look like emaciated, horribly skinny, filthy, disgusting, creatures. Because none of them ever use the bathroom or anything like that, so they've just got like waste running down their legs, and they're like skinny, and they're covered in dirt, and they're hairless or hairy or whatever, you know, they just look gross and unkempt. And our main character takes off his mask, right? And he's also one of these really skinny, creepy looking dudes. And he's got this massive beard, and he like just looks around and he starts to have a panic attack, right? And as he's looking around, we cut to black. Supraliminal, right? This is our main character, Percy Harp. He is a curious and critical pessimist with a chip on his shoulder and a little bit of a guilt complex. He's a strange fellow, and we're gonna figure out why he's so strange and why he's so cautious about the rest of the world throughout the show. But we open with him being freaked out in this VR farm, right? And we see SL is written on all of the helmets, right? Cut back to the show after the title drop, and we see him wandering, right, through these fields and fields of naked, horrible VR people, right? And he's just like, has this sullen look on his face, and his beard is long and his hair is long, and he's disgusting, and he's just walking for hours and hours through fields and fields and fields of these VR people, until eventually he finds a highway and he starts walking like on the side of that, and he's walking on the side of that for a few more hours until this old beat up pickup truck pulls up beside him, and everybody's like hooping and hollering and saying like, good on you, fish, like, good for getting out, like, welcome to the real world, welcome to the real. And he's kind of confused and a little annoyed, but he's like, they offer him a ride. He gets in the car, they put a blanket over top of his shoulders, and he sits there and he's kind of in this sullen, like, PTSD, 1,000-yard stare daze, when this old hobo starts talking to him. And he's a hobo. He's got an eye patch, right? And so his nickname, which we will know him by, is Patchy. And he's kind of this boisterous, jolly, hermit-looking guy.
Yeah.
And he's a bit of an information gatherer. He knows lots of things about lots of things. And so Percy begins to ask questions like, what is this? Where am I? Who am I? What's going on? And Patchy explains that about 75% of the human population elected to go into virtual reality rather than live out in the rest of the world. Like, the world is such a horrible place that they would rather live their entire lives in this virtual realm than experience anything real. And so the remaining 25% of the population live in this massive city called the Last City. And they are responsible for maintaining the systems that keep the people inside of Supraliminal. That's the name of the VR reality that they live in. That's why they all have SL written on the helmets and everything. And as well as, just existing in the world and trying to, fight and survive and understand what's going on, right? Because there's more food and shelter than anyone needs, because it's only 25% of the population, but the world is automated in such a way that the farming still takes place. So people don't really have jobs, per se. It's more so just people are stuck in this city and they are trying to find something to do every day. So that, like, really treacherous combination of poverty, boredom, and lack of space that, like, if you've ever been in that situation before where you're just, like, stuck somewhere, can't do anything, and you don't have any money, you just kind of slightly go a little crazy. And so that's what the entirety of the world is currently living in. And so they arrive at the Last City, and they enter through this sort of like a border control style entrance, and they realize that Percy isn't registered because he just got out of out of Supraliminal, and so he gets out of the car and he's taken in by some of these constables, right? And they like grab him by his shoulder, and they're kind of rough and they're mean, you know. I called them mad dogs with badges, guns, and bludgeons, you know. And these constables sit him down and they scan his blood, and they find out that his name is Percy Harp and that he owns an apartment in the kind of crappier side of town.
Yeah.
And so they are like, all right, Mr. Harp, right? Like, welcome to the city. You're real. You're a registered citizen. You're, you know, ready to go. So here is like some clothes, and here is a tram ticket to your apartment, right? To the area of your apartment. He says, okay, right? And so he takes the ticket and he gets kicked out by the constables, and he's sort of like still very annoyed because Percy has no memory of his life inside of Supraliminal or before Supraliminal. So he is a complete blank slate. He doesn't remember any of it, you know? And so he's very kind of concerned about what's going on. But he's just going with the flow for right now. So he gets on a tram, and he's standing on this tram, and he kind of bumps into this young woman. And she's wearing this cat mask, and it's like a paper mask almost that looks like the face of a cat. And he sees her eyes, and we zoom in on her eyes, and he really like gets to know him. And he says, "Oh, sorry, right? Like, oh, that was my bad." And she's like, "You don't need to apologize. Like, it's all good." And she gives him a warning about the owls. You know, watch out for the owls. The owls are a secret police state, like a secret police. That are dedicated towards maintaining the peace of this supraliminal state at whatever means necessary, right? And so she gives him this warning about them, and he's kind of like, oh, okay, right? He arrives at his address, and he sees this bar at the front, right? And he walks in because he doesn't really understand where he's supposed to go. He walks in, and this guy gives him a huge hug. The bartender, Professor Gerald Ram, gives him a massive hug. And he says, "Oh, Percy, it's been so long. It's so nice to see you." And he's like patting him on the back, and he's pouring him a drink, and he's really happy to see him. And Percy at first is kind of like taken aback, right? And sort of quietly just like smiling and nodding, haha, yeah. But as Professor Gerald Ram starts to ask questions, Percy kind of has to, sheepishly admit, like, I'm sorry, man. I don't know who you are. I don't remember anything about my life at all. Like, before or after I got into the VR. And so Gerald is like, he's kind of upset about it. He's a little disappointed, but he understands. Like, amnesia isn't the most unusual side effect from being in Supraliminal for a while. And so he gives Percy the key to the apartment, and Percy, goes upstairs to his apartment, right? And he kind of sees this apartment, and it's sort of built like an old school 1940s PI office, right?
Okay.
Like with the shades and everything like that, and there's a big desk in the middle. And so he walks up to the desk, and he opens the first drawer, and he takes out a bottle of whiskey. He pours himself a glass of whiskey and starts to sip it neat, and he's like, ooh, that's smooth. He throws it back, he goes in, he takes a shower and a shave, and this is when, like, he gets rid of his massive beard, he cuts his really long, dirty hair, he gets cleaned up and ready to go, and then he puts on his clothes, and he is like a fully well-dressed looking guy. He's got like a button-up white shirt, he's got a red tie, he's got black pants, nice shoes, and he goes up back to his desk, and he opens up the drawers, and he starts to look through and flick through, and he sees that he's got a PI license. For Percy Sharp, he's got a handgun. And so he's kind of like, huh, okay. And so he clicks the gun to his belt, He puts his license on, or takes his PI license and tucks it into his jacket pocket, right? And he starts to sip on another glass of whiskey, right? Just gingerly sipping on this neat glass of whiskey and reading through his case files, right? And as he's, flipping through the case files very casually, he hears this sort of like heavy knock at the door. And so he assumes that it's Gerald, and he walks up to the door, right? Hey, Gerald, good, I've been wanting to talk to you. And he sees that it's this woman, right, standing at the door, and she's clutching a gigantic gunshot wound that she has in her stomach in one hand, right? Her face is gaunt and skinny and pale, and in her other hand, she's holding a card for Percy Harp Detective Agency that's bloodied, right? Oh. And she puts the card towards him and then passes out onto the ground.
Okay.
End of episode 1. That's how episode 1 ends.
Quite the intro for him.
Yeah, we gotta get the characters excited about getting into the thing. So that's our pilot episode, everyone. I hope we're excited. So I'm just gonna run through the rest of the season. We've got a few reveals, a few things that are happening, and a few spaces that I skipped over because I didn't feel like writing them. So, we can add things in. But he Percy, drags this woman up, and he puts her on the couch, and he wraps her stomach up, right? And she is, through bated breath, and so kind of, coughing up blood and everything, says, I needed to deliver this to you. And she puts, a bloody, what do you call it, thumb drive in his hand, right? And he's like, what? And as he kind of is, taken aback, and she puts it in his hand, and she dies. Right on the couch, right? She bleeds to death.
Oh,
and shit. So Percy's like, Jesus Christ, oh my God. He takes his whiskey, he throws it all the way back, he takes the bottle, he takes another nip from the bottle, and then he puts it down and walks downstairs, because he's like, I have to get Gerald. I have to get Gerald Ram to help me out. Do you like his name? I think his name's very funny.
Gerald Ram, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for stopping in the middle of the pitch just so you can ask if I like Gerald Ram.
Yeah, I needed to know.
It wasn't. I mean, it's not spectacular, Charlie. There's no.
It's
no Tourniquet Jones, but Gerald Ram is. It's there.
Do you get it? Because Ram is
I know
also
what
a kind
Ram
of
is,
car.
Charlie. Yes. Everybody gets the joke.
Like Gerald Ford. You hate me. I can tell. It's fine. Well, it's a very bleak show, so I need to get some funny stuff in there somehow. So he gets downstairs to the bar, and he sees that Gerald is talking to the owls, right? And there's about 6 heavily armed, secret police officers standing in the doorway, right? And Gerald sees Percy arrive out of the corner of his eye, and he looks at him and gives him a sort of knowing glare, and then sort of steps in front of the officers so they can't see him and starts really talking to him, really animated And Percy understands, that's a get the hell out of Dodge sort of thing. He's distracting him so they can escape. And so Percy escapes, he runs out the back, he kind of gets on the tram, and he starts to, breathe a little easier. He's getting away from him. He can see him, but he's, putting his coat, his... You know how people in old movies do where they take their shirt collar and they put it up so you can't see their faces and stuff like that?
Yeah.
And so he starts to gather some information because he's like, what the hell is going on? What the hell is on this thumb drive? Who the hell am I? And why are people looking for me and trying to kill me and all this stuff, right? What's going on?
Yeah.
And so he goes down to some seedier parts of town, right? And this is going to be kind of a little bit of a montage of Percy going to old joints that people aren't known for being the friendliest. He starts asking questions. He wants to know things. He's investigating. He's using his PI skills and his PI license to try and get some information about this woman, about the owls, right? About what's happening to him. And all these people see he's asking questions until eventually he's kidnapped by the Pack, right? Which is a cat-themed group of freedom-fighting vigilantes that are trying to take down Supraliminal and free humanity from the clutches of this, like, technological, totalitarian dictatorship, you know?
Yeah.
And so they kidnap him, and they're you know, they've tied him up, and they're, like, interrogating him, and they're not being very friendly about it, until eventually, he gives them the information. Like, my name is Percy Harp. I just got out of Supraliminal 2 days ago, right? I need help. The owls are haunting me. I thought you people were the kind of people that, like, would help somebody out like me. Like, what the fuck? I need to get this decrypted. And so he shows them the thumb drive. They take it off of him. They start decrypting it. They look up his file. Percy Harp is like, nothing on file. Whatever, okay. They let him go, and Percy realizes that one of the people, because he's in a room being interrogated by like 12 people, one of the people in the background of the room is the same girl that he saw on the tram who warned him about the owls. And so he starts to go up to her, right, and starts to talk. And at first she's a little bit hesitant, but eventually she opens up and starts to talk. And the whole time wearing the cat masks. The only way he recognized her was through the eyes.
Okay.
And her name is Stella Hawks, Hox. And she is an orphan to the SL. Both of her parents elected to, rather than live in the dying world and raise their child, they both decided to go into Supraliminal and abandon her to the state. And so from that, she has gained such a deep, like, all-encompassing hatred for SL and anyone who uses it. And so she's kind of, like, distrusting of Percy because he got out of it. And she's like, what kind of a person goes in the first place? But eventually there might be a little bit of a romantic fling to their relationship. But the next few episodes of the show are just information gathering, Percy learning more about the world and about the way things are. You know, I didn't really write these episodes because we're doing a season outline, not a episode by episode outline, because I'm lazy. As Jake very well knows. But the next plot point we have is they've, Percy's been information gathering and trying to learn a little bit more about himself, and so he's investigating the paperwork that he's done that is attached to his name, like his PI license and all this stuff, and he finds out that he went into Supraliminal a month before all of those all that paperwork was established. Percy Harp didn't exist a month before he entered.
Oh, that's a good twist.
Supraliminal.
That's a good twist.
And so he's like, what the hell? Who the fuck am I? And so there's a little bit more investigating and some information delving into about Percy's past until we figure out that he isn't actually Percy Harp.
What?
Percy Harp doesn't exist.
What?
His name is Shelley Monet, a rebel leader who had been thought dead years ago. But this guy is sort of the absolute badass. When I was coming up with him, I was like, think Johnny Silverhand from Cyberpunk 2077. Like, he's a total anti-government, anti-corporation badass who's all about, like, fighting the power and rock and roll and blowing things up.
Yeah.
So think of Percy as the narrator and Shelley as Tyler Durden, you know? Just total...
like in Fight Club, gotcha.
Yeah. Not that one of them doesn't exist, but, like, in terms of personality styles, you know?
Yeah.
And then we're gonna do a episode that's a flashback to before Percy went into SL. When he was Shelley. And we're going to do this, like, badass flashback to 10 years before, or whatever, however long Percy was in SL, showing what the plan was and how he ended up in SL, right? Which is, he did a final massive attack on the Supraliminal headquarters, right? Planning on, like, blowing it up and killing everyone working there, and thus destroying it and setting the people free.
Yeah.
And it's this like cool badass fight sequence where we're gonna like get Percy, his name's Shelley at the time, and a whole bunch of other characters, and maybe we'll get Gerald in there. Like Professor Gerald Ram is there, and he's like also, he's got a shotgun, and he's younger, and he's cooler, you know? And they're all doing this cool badass fight sequence throughout the SL headquarters. This is the kind of action heavy episode. And it ends with Gerald escaping, most of the crew getting killed, and Percy getting captured, Shelley getting captured. And he's like leaning down in front of them, right? And he's got his hands cuffs, and he's telling the representative of SL, right? This like sort of dude in an all black suit and sort of a blank face. We're not gonna see his face. It's going to be like yeah, I just rewatched Superman. You remember in Superman when the very end, when the light is shining in the camera so much that you can't see Superman at all?
Yeah.
The very end?
Yeah.
It's gonna be like that, where we're not gonna be able to see the guy's face, right? And Percy's like, fuck you, like, you'll never stop the revolution, ideas live on even if people go, and that's when the faceless man reveals, I'm not gonna kill you. That would turn you into a martyr. That would make you a weapon for the cause. No, you're going to abandon the cause. And Percy doesn't understand until they strip him nude, except for his, like, skivvies, and they bring him out into the supraliminal field, and through protests and through screaming and crying, they put the helmet onto Percy and leave him in the field of all these other emaciated supraliminal victims to live out the rest of his days, you know, in this VR world. In total, like, obstinance to what his entire philosophy is.
Yeah.
And that's how we get to the opening of the show. And we realize, like, as that episode ends, the next episode begins with the message being fully decrypted on the thumb drive, and it's revealed that it is plans to build a nuclear weapon. And turns out that woman who died at the very beginning of the show was hired by Shelley as a final backup plan. So if the name Percy Harp was, like, logged as entering the city, a message would go out to this, like, courier agency that would mean that thumb drive would have to be delivered to Percy's address as soon as possible. And Supraliminal knew that was happening, and so that's why she was shot. Like, they were trying to stop her from delivering it to him. But they failed. And so, you know, this whole show started. And so the next few, like the next episode or maybe 2 episodes, are them getting the parts together to build this bomb, you know, to destroy Supraliminal. And they're kind of talking about the morality of using such an extreme weapon on the company and like how it would destroy people and kill people and everything. But Percy, now having been fully radicalized by his past life and the world in its current state, is fully on board. He is totally in favor of using this bomb to destroy Supraliminal and, in his mind, set the world free. And so our final episode is this massive assault on the Supraliminal headquarters, right? But rather than having like 4 or 5 people like he did the first time, Percy has like 40 people, you know, helping him out. And so they're just killing the people, the you know, guards at Supraliminal. They're kicking the shit out of them, and they're way more successful than they were in the flashback episode. And after this big, long, badass action sequence of them breaking in and descending further and further down into the Supraliminal headquarters, they get to the main frame, like the mind of the Supraliminal, right? And Percy and Stella are setting up the bomb, and they're kind of like, is this it? Are we gonna do it? And their conversation is interrupted by the Supraliminal, which is this massive hive mind that is constructed of every single brain that is attached to the VR headsets. So the company of Supraliminal is run by the quote-unquote victims of Supraliminal. It's like a snake eating its own tail. You know, it's a sort of a John Henry Eden from Fallout 3 situation. And so Stella escapes from the final, like, confrontation, and Percy and this, like, hive mind have a final, like, philosophical, like, argument discussion about whether it is better to live in a world of pain that is real, or to live in a world of pleasure that is a fiction. And at the end, like, Percy just looks up at it and at this, like, weird robotic face, and he just scoffs and he smiles and he says something like, "It's only human." And then he presses the button, and the hive mind and the entire Supraliminal headquarters go up in smoke in this massive mushroom cloud, right? And Stella is standing there, you know, at a safe distance. She's sort of looking over at these fields and fields of all these Supraliminal customers standing on like a hilltop or whatever. And almost in unison, all of these people, right, they lift their helmets up. All of them, like, looking out, blinking at the sun, at the world, and they look down at themselves, and they look around at all of this just, like, horror of all these people. And you hear just this wall of crying and of wailing coming from these people.
Oh, jeez.
And Stella sort of, like, has this look of excitement, but also fear and sadness on her face as she looks out at the you know, millions and millions of weeping victims. And that's the end of Supraliminal.
Damn.
Yeah. Supraliminal. It was fun.
It's a cool show. I like it a lot. I think it's, you got a lot of interesting sort of things going on with this. All these people locked in, essentially like the Matrix, except it's like voluntary to go, well, sort of voluntary to go in. And then it's like you have this world that now has to deal with like 75% of the people coming back all of a sudden, and you already don't have any jobs and things for people to do.
Yeah, what is everyone gonna do all day?
Yeah. How's the world after this moment gonna react? Don't know. Mm-hmm. Don't know, exactly. But it's interesting. It's interesting. And I love the sort of, you set up like a detective mystery where this guy like doesn't know what the crime he was supposed to solve or whatever is, but it's actually, the mystery is him. Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, exactly. It was fun. I thought like a little Memento style fun time could be had by all.
Yeah, I love when the person doesn't know who they are, you know, and everyone else does. It's fun.
Yeah. And we have and I created my favorite character of all time, Gerald Ram.
Gerald Ram, founder of Ram Trucks.
Yeah. Well, thank you, everyone, for listening to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I've been your host, Charles. Along with me has always been my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, gunner, navigator, orator, and podcasting associate, Jacob Gloth. If you like what you heard here and you want to hear more, please give us a like, a follow, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dog, tell your cat. And remember, we'll be here next week with a brand new television series for you to imagine and enjoy. Jake, I want you to pick between 1 and 6.
I'm gonna go with 4, Charlie.
Oh, this one is going... I am not sure you're gonna like this.
I never like them.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
K, period, G, period, L, period. I'm giving you an acronym.
KGL?
KGL.
KGL, okay. I don't know what that's gonna be. No idea.
I don't either, man. It's exciting. I didn't have an idea for it when I wrote it. So,
Kellogg's...
But...
grape, lasers.
Kill grape lovers.
Kellogg's kills grape lovers. Yep.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for listening, and please have a good day. Or night, or whatever.